Hi guys, thanks for joining. This is Essence of Science. Today we're going to be talking about exercise science. I'm Amanda Armagast.
I'm Misha.
I'm Jimmy.
And I'm Dr. Abbasi for Essence. So, Jimmy, you look like you work out.
Yeah.
You're so beefed up, and like your muscle wanna break through that
No.
jacket.
Far away from that. No.
So, do you work out?
Yes.
What exactly do you do?
Every other day, go to gym.
Mhm.
Just all the parts of the body.
All
You
the
do
part.
like cardio, lift weights.
I lift weights, and I don't do a lot of cardio. Maybe once a month or 2 months.
Do you stretch before you exercise?
I warm my body, but
What do you
I
do?
don't stretch.
What
I
do you-
just wave my arm around.
Your arm around?
Yeah.
No. So, and yesterday, just before we went and looked at that airplane, you said, "Hope, we have time. I'm going to go to gym." So, how often do you go to gym, and what do you do?
I go to gym like 4 or 5 times a week, and I divided my workout by body parts, like chest day, leg day, shoulder day, back day, etc.
You did legs yesterday, right?
Yeah, I did legs
How are you
yesterday.
feeling?
A lot of pain. I can barely walk right now.
And do you work out as well? You go to yoga and
Yeah, I go to yoga.
and what do you do? Hot yoga and some funny
No,
stuff.
I go to 4 different yoga classes. So I go to it's called power yoga. So that's like it's 100 degrees.
Mhm.
And then you try and like push yourself really hard. I go to hot yoga, which is slower. It's still 100 degrees.
Mhm.
Then I do slow flow and reform, which is like if it's mostly a little bit older generations in those groups. It's for recovering.
Mhm.
And I go to sculpt, which is my most intense class. I'm always sore for 2 or 3 days after, and that's involving weightlifting and yoga.
Yeah. Now, what if I just made a TikTok about it? What if I would tell you that women generally are much better at exercise than men? And
You define exercise in that context?
well, anything you guys described. Now, my TikTok was about that men would love to see themselves in the mirror, and men love to see other men in the mirror. As a matter of fact, if men have a choice to look at the girl or a man, they bunch up together, talk about the man and the muscle and so on. Like yesterday when we were there, without all the showing off and so on. It is a big deal, and it's evolutionary. Because imagine you're out there, you're fighting a big bison, big animal, or the neighboring tribe. Who do you want to be there with? With a weakling or with somebody with lots of muscle? Women are not necessarily competing for higher level of muscular prowess. What that means, they have to compete with for other things. They have to compete for the strongest man, but they don't have to compete to be strong themselves in the nature and the way our body is made. And for that reason, men exercise muscle they can see. They can see. Whereas women do a lot of yoga. That how many men are in your yoga class?
I think like 3.
Three of how many?
Well, I go to yoga 5 to 6 days a week. So
Oh, wow. Okay. Well,
like
compare
my
man, woman.
biggest-
What
my
percentage
biggest-
man,
I
one
would say my
percentage woman?
biggest class has 23 mats standard, and then there's 3 men.
So that makes my point.
Mhm.
Okay. So women go mostly to yoga, things that are not building necessarily muscle. And if they pay attention more to core body muscle. Rather, men, they just want to see that biceps. What do they say? The curl for the girl. You're just exercising that to get attention. Now, the problem here is that for a long time, evolution did a good job of giving us muscle. Because what? You drive 5 miles to get to the gym, and then you go there and do cardio, right? Well, in nature, no.
I rarely do cardio. I do cardio to warm up.
Okay.
To raise my heart
And then you
rates.
do mostly press and weight.
Yeah, weight training
Okay.
and resistance training.
And we'll come back to that. But in the nature, your cardio would be running behind the gazelle or lion running behind you. That would be your cardio, and that's all you need to get. And for a long time as well, life had a lots of physical labor in it. That you had to grow your food. Lots of, like even right now, when you go to these lots of folk that still live close to the nature, I mean, truly growing their food and so on. They are thin, they are skinny, they are fit. I'm not talking about
But
lots
they're
of,
strong.
and they're strong, and it's impossible. They're impossibly strong.
Yeah.
But but we don't have any of that now. So you have to drive 5 minutes to the gym, then you go on a machine that makes you bring your body to that level that your body is made for, and then you cool down and you do some weight to build up muscle, whereas you used to have those muscles because without them you couldn't do your daily chores. And then you go and you're happy, you look at the mirror and admire your muscle and so on, and your woman admires your muscle and so on. And now let's come back to building muscles, which is the most of the reason men go to gym, right?
Not for me.
So
Why
what
do
is
you guys
why do you
do
go
Yeah,
to?
let's talk about why do we go to gym?
Yeah, why do you go to gym?
I mean, when I first started in high school, I just want to look good. And
And you look good.
And-
It's good job.
and also another reason is I was playing basketball
Mhm.
back that time. I couldn't throw the ball far enough, so I went to the gym so
Oh
that
my God, how far do you need to throw the ball?
I was
Throw it
in
like
high school
halfway-
and I was
halfway
short,
across.
so
Oh wow.
I want to throw the ball far enough, so I went to gym and
Uh-huh.
do my triceps. That's the initial.
Yeah.
Uh,
Uh-huh.
Why do
Yeah.
you go to the gym,
Yeah.
Misha?
For me, it's more psychological. I started going to gym when I think when I was in grad school,
Mhm.
and that's when becoming a young adult and you face a lot of pressures from life, and that's when I realized gym is actually one of the fairest place on earth. So by that I mean if you do things right, you will see results. Unlike most things in life, when you can try as hard as you want and you don't see any results, and that's just the nature of life. But that's not gym. Gym will not disappoint you. If you do your workout, if you eat your food and your protein, and if you sleep well, no alcohol, you will see progress.
Mhm. Good one.
And it's more psychological achievements for me. It's like, oh,
But
with the world I'm living in, it's kind of real.
Yeah, right.
but I challenge you that psychological achievements is that body mass that you're building. It is that the goal is to build body mass, and that is by men is a natural thing that we require. We show almost in all cultures. We show each other our muscles. We arm wrestle. We do sport to just show how much stronger we are from the other males of the group. And everybody cheers that. Sport is a big deal in all cultures. Like United States, football, almost they close the entire country.
They didn't even 90 Day Fiance, my favorite show. They didn't even air it on Super Bowl Sunday because they didn't
With
want to
the waste.
compete
The waste.
with the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge football is huge
Yeah,
here.
yeah. And in China and in Iran, football, soccer, we call it football, but here they call it soccer. By the way, why would they call football? Football is handball. Right? So,
I think it's because the ball is like 1 foot long or something. Like
oh,
that.
that's where it come from?
I'm just guessing.
Yeah, so, but so it is a big deal. Now, long time ago, we were in constant state of war. Like if you go to Papua New Guinea or some Amazon tribes, now it's not probably that bad, but 35% of the male die in the hand combat of other male. And still 2024, at least I saw a documentary not long ago that was saying that it is so common that the tribes, the neighboring tribes, get into a war with the spear and so on. And then if you can throw not a ball, but a spear or a stone, then you're in advantage. Obviously, mental part is part of it, but when you live the way the nature wants you to live, the male muscle mass and prowess is a huge deal. Now, something that as well is extremely important, not just the pure power, but how you use that power. Like how fast can you move, your reflexes. Lots of that, though, unfortunately, is genetic. To a certain point, you can bring it in, but you're absolutely right. Gym is fair because you will you will be building body mass if you do the right thing, but you won't necessarily be much faster. Body mass and body muscle mass doesn't necessitate into being faster or having higher reflexes, especially reflexes. That is more or less a function that you can train, not as much as the actual muscle mass.
Yeah, so I mean, as long as I see progress to my former self, I'm happier. And
Yeah.
if I don't work out, I might go insane.
That happiness though is not just a blah blah that I'm happy to go there and so on. It's actually a hormonal thing. When you go there, you release more epinephrine, noradrenaline, and people get addicted actually to exercise.
The endorphins.
Endorphin, runner, jogger, and so on. Now, let's come back to that. Let's talk about this. Let's go. My daughter does a lots of marathon and so on. And is that a good thing?
I used to run marathons.
Is that a good thing?
I feel it's good. I liked it
I think-
when. Yeah, you go ahead.
Just like anything, there's a limit to it being unhealthy. If you're doing too much, like can cause a lot of strain on your joints.
Yeah. Well, let me give you facts. All professional athletes, they age about twice as fast as a regular person on their joint, spine, and things like that. Like my son's the fiance and he himself, they were
They're
rowing.
married now.
Yeah, they're married now. Yeah, forgot that. Hello. So they were in both rowing team of Cambridge, and she already has a herniated disc and needed already one surgery. We may need even more. So this is the fact. If you do athletic at that level, you're aging your joint and spine twice as fast as somebody else. So what is that healthy average? What is that healthy um, medium?
Well, I think that the healthy medium would depend on the person and how they're preparing. If you're just cold running marathons, like you're not stretching your muscles first, you're not getting your body warmed up, I think it would weigh a lot heavier on your body, right?
No, well, generally, every activity in short or long term need to be increased slowly. Our body can deal with that.
Mm.
In short or long, I mean like you go to gym, you want to impress somebody, you start, curling too much, you will, rupture your tendon and so on.
Or
But
we were talking about this disease. Do you remember what it's called?
Ehlers-Danlos?
No.
No, it starts with an R, where you
Like your muscle melts into
You-
your urine.
you can't recover. and
Oh,
some-
rhabdomyolysis.
Yeah, and some people
Rhabdomyolysis,
need
yes.
dialysis.
Yeah. Yeah, well, if you so see what happens is no, let's start with the long run, meaning that you go there, you start curling like too much, way more than you're ready for. You rupture the tendon, you rupture your muscle, and you do permanent damage. But if you go like you do what you can do now, even if that what you can do now is like 20 pounds, but then you give your body time and then you go and do 25 pounds, then you do 30 pounds, and then you give time between, resting between. What does your body do? Your body create more collagen, more stronger tendon. Bone actually grows. You know, the athletes have stronger bones. Well, if you do it slowly, your body adjusts to that. And then in the long run, you can go to those numbers. Like some people lift up like that Olympic people, they do weightlifting, 1,000 pounds sometimes. I mean, that's crazy. That's unbelievable. But the body is used to that over a long period of time. Okay. And that is by adding to the more collagen, more bone mass, more muscle mass in a coordinated way. And but that takes time. That is why you should never jump those steps too fast, because then you will do permanent jump. Now, in the short run, is as well the same thing, but in maybe a little different. You just go and don't go for the muscle. You wake up and you just go and start doing heavy thing. You have to loosen the muscle. You have to warm them up, and warming them up is mostly it's about bringing more perfusion
Blood
and
and oxygen.
blood and oxygen to the muscle, so they don't go to the anoxic, status too fast. So all of that, and what I like about yoga is obviously not one thing. Yoga is a many different
Mhm.
kind of things. But what I like about that, it's a more holistic. It brings your whole body
And
to the
it's
game.
really hard, actually, like in yoga, you're doing these moves that you would not think that your body could handle, like being on one arm and your legs are in the air and your other arm is holding on to your legs and stuff. You don't think that you can
On one hand,
yeah, on one
I used to
hand.
do that.
But you like when you're doing it,
Why?
you don't think you
Huh?
can.
Why?
Well, when I was young, much younger than you are now, I used to do Kung Fu, and they would teach us in Kung Fu to build endurances. Okay. And as well, muscle and endurances. So we would put one hand on the fingers, and later on 3 fingers, and we on the ground, and we would balance our whole body around that 3 fingers. And through actually Kung Fu, I got into climbing because I developed very strong fingers. And that's what the climbing is. You need to have very strong forearm and finger muscle to be able to do that. That's a long time ago, but now, and doing things like that require your whole body being coordinated effort. Whereas just lifting up, doing this, it works only on the biceps
Yeah.
and maybe some other muscles.
Yoga is all your muscles in your arms when you're
Yeah.
all your muscles in your body.
And as well, it has been developed over thousands of years. So it's Kung Fu. You use your own body. They didn't have weights they could buy from Walmart or order and so on, right?
Mhm.
You use a lot your own body as a weight.
And you use your own breath to guide your movements, and then it helps your movements be more
Yeah.
fluid.
Did you guys do any, martial art?
A little when I was in middle school.
Yeah. What did you do? Kung Fu?
Some like freestyle boxing.
Freestyle boxing.
Yeah,
Okay.
It was,
More of, yeah.
it was an interesting story. Like I think my middle school PE teacher was kind of insane. Yeah, like this underground kids fighting club from other schools around the area. And I live I study in a boarding school, so we are not allowed to go out to like get snacks or food. But that was the chance for me to go out and like maybe get a McDonald's or something. But I didn't for it.
McDonald's in China.
Cute.
Now, let's talk about building muscle. There are two kinds of, there are many kind of exercises, but let's break them in pieces. Number one, building muscle. Number two, building endurances, cardiovascular. Number three, building up speed. And number four, building up the complex kind of, I would say, motion.
Like body coordination.
Body coordination, like if you go to look at Olympic gymnastics, how they do that requires a lot more. Now, so we talked about, let's quickly go over building muscle. That's the easiest part, and that is what you're referring to. It's so rewarding, so fair. That's the easiest part. And what do you need to do to build up muscle? It's extremely simple.
Just work out, eat well, sleep well, rest well.
Easier than that. It's much easier than that.
Progressive overload.
You take yourself to the border what you can do, and you go 10-15% above it.
Go
For
over
how
the
long?
edge.
For how long?
For how long?
10 seconds every other day is enough.
Oh,
You bring every muscle for 10 seconds over the border what it can do every other day, 3 times a week. And that's enough to tell your body that muscle. You don't need to go there and do, as a matter of fact, if that's the only goal you're having, I have told some of you guys, the way I keep still my body muscle, and even though I'm old and so on, I'm pretty core strong. The way I do that, I do once a day, I do 3 push-ups, 3 pull-ups, and a few rolls. And if the goal is to build muscle, that's all you need to do. If you want to be efficient in that, as a matter of fact, there is the economist who actually came to the same conclusion, Nassim Taleb. He has lots of good books, by the way. Go read the Black Swan. That's a very good book. But he says about the economic version of that, how to build robustness in economic system and so on. And then he talks about efficiency, bring that as example in that book that says, you just need to do 1 minute a day or 1 minute every other day, bring your muscle that you want to make them stronger, about 10% above that, above what they can usually do, the maximum, and that's enough. So that is what you're referring to, that fairness.
Yeah, I have a question
Yeah.
relating to that. So suppose like the maximum amount I can do squat is 160 pounds, and by your like what you just said is that I need to do like 170 pounds for
No, well,
once a day.
no, but see, 160, let's say you start going to gym, right?
Yep.
You do something that you see you're at your border,
Yep.
that you cannot do anymore. That is already 110% above what you can do.
So when I go to the gym, I start with a 45
Uh-huh.
to like warm up. I will not just go to the gym and do my max.
Okay, so what do you do? Well, how do you do?
I do like 2 sets of 45. That's an empty bar, and then
Uh-huh.
135, and then I add more to
135.
Yeah.
And then what's your maximum?
Like 35 plus 225 plates. That's 185.
185. So I think your max is actually 135. Whatever you're going over. So things that you can do again and again without getting distressed in any way is your max. Whatever you do above that, that I think your max is already 135, 150. That 180 is already over what you're doing. Now, the best way to do that is do 135 is your usual, right?
Yep.
Then do few 150s, and then until the 150 becomes your 135. Once for few weeks or months, 150 is your old 135, you do few 160, and then until and you do more and more until 160 feels to you like 150. And then 160 is your new 135. You reset your normal and do few of over. And that book, and the most important thing that we found out is that you don't need to do that 135s at all anymore. You can just warm up and just go to do 150s until you can then stop, and then you will come, you warm up, you do 150, and then you do few 160, you see how that feels? And then you reset that. So it can be very efficient if that's the goal. And then actually lots of movie style, when they have to work in a movie that they have to be very muscled up, that's exactly what they go through. Okay, you can build up muscle fast in the right way, and obviously you can get as well steroids and help you up with that and so on. So muscle building is the easiest part. Endurance or cardio is actually much harder, but even there, for cardio, most of the people do to have the better cardiovascular, build lung and heart capacity,
Burn calories.
burn calories. We found out that's the same thing. You don't have to do this is a new thing. I'm sure you guys have heard about that, that you don't have to go 1 hour on the cardio machine and work 1 hour out. You do have to do this high intensity where you bring your heart rate to 160 for few minutes, 90 seconds. That's enough to start all those processes that have you guys heard of that? That
HIIT.
high intensity?
HIIT.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does it work? Tell me.
You have certain motions, you're just doing them in circles, and these motion get you uh heart rate increase very fast
To what?
to over your maximum.
Yeah, well, 150, 160. So
My friends do this thing
Yeah.
called Orange Theory. I
What-
think that's high intensity.
The 150 in your case.
so see, it doesn't really matter how you bring your heart rate to that. Can jump up and down, do ropes, walk, run. For what I care, you can be scared enough that your heart rate jumps up. It seems that you need, and they do it in the sets of 3, right? That you do 90 seconds, run as fast as you can, then stop, wait a little, then do it again and do it again. And again, it's surprisingly, you can be very efficient. The rest of the time you're in the gym, you're impressing yourself and other people. So you can be very efficient. And again, the mode you do that, it seems not that matters a lot. If you're running or if you're doing some other activities and so on. So endurance. Then we talked about this now like other complex like reflexes, complex motion and so on. That is something you usually need for really competitive sport, specific competitive sport. Like you have seen those that gymnasts that go around the bar and so on and so forth. They need as well elasticity, not only the muscle. They need, for that reason, they cannot be too heavy. Too much muscle is harder to control. So there is a balance. I would say what's healthy, what's strong, what is good. So in that sense, bodybuilding per se, I consider it as one of the worst kind of exercise.
That was a question Jimmy had for you, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're building muscle, you're packing muscle, and those muscles require, they change your entire metabolism. But then, first of all, number one, you will never put those muscles to good use. Are you going to move stones for pharaohs in Egypt?
Move all the pianos.
Well, just a second there. You have all those muscles in the arm and hands, and I see a lot of those patients. They're built up, they can move that piano by themselves.
But then they injure.
The arms and legs. But what about the core body muscle? They're almost always weaker in the core body muscle
What about-
because they are not what the bodybuilding is about.
What about when people like focus on their abs?
Abs, you see mirror.
Okay, so your abs don't really protect like your spine and stuff.
Not the way you think it would.
Where are those core muscles? Like,
There are the hundreds, if not thousands of individual muscles. They go spine in our spine. We don't have a model
used to
here.
have a
We
spine
used to
in
have a
here.
model. But see, our spine is made of those segments, and each segment has those what we call processes, like spinal process, transverse process. Each of them is for a muscle to attach, and there are hundreds of those processes. Muscle attached from one to another, 2 level up, 3 level up there. These are hundreds and hundreds of individual muscles, and they are inside of you. And there are paraspinal muscle, the multifidus muscle in the middle, and then there's iliopsoas, and then on top of that, there come newer muscle. No, lots of people, now the good news is in lots of gym, you have these mirrors that you see your back. Then you exercise your latissimus dorsi and some other trapezius that, oh, you do that, your muscle in the back, bunch about, but you do not see your paraspinal muscle. There's no way you can see that. There's a reason I'm saying that, because I put a lots of screws in those muscles. Nobody can see those screws. If you could see the muscle, you could see the screws. There's no way you can see those muscles except, or screws, except you are 90, 80, 90 pounds. Then everything collapses, then you can see those muscles. You don't want to be there. Okay, so all these exercises, almost all of them, neglect the paraspinal muscle, meaning that you think you are great, you can lift up your couch, your arms and legs can, but your spine muscle cannot.
So what exercises do? Like, what about if you're doing like a plank?
Mhm.
Is that exercise?
Well, you see that that is a question I get a lot from my patient.
Mhm.
What exercises does it for me? Doctor, I go to gym. I have a personal trainer. I go to gym. What exercises are, they are trivial if you know them, but they're impossible if you don't know them. That is the reason a physical therapist goes to school for 4 years to exactly exercise those
Mhm.
specific muscle. If it was something you could go and learn in a just in a podcast or look at the picture and do that, they didn't need to go to school for 4 years. It is a science for itself how you activate certain muscle without activating other muscles. And that's what physical therapy is, right? Physical therapy is, knowing how to activate certain pathways, certain muscle in your spine without overstressing just the muscle that are next to it.
Okay.
So, but certainly many things that you do in yoga or Pilates or see, I remember those the exercises in the TV from 1980s. Do
Yeah,
you
with
know what
like
I'm
the
talking about?
sweatband
With the
and the-
sweatband
yeah.
and so on.
Like
And that
shaking.
video
Yeah.
is shaking and so on and so on.
That's what we do at my sculpt class.
What? You're still doing it? Are we still doing it?
You can join me if you want.
Yeah, no, but believe it or not, a natural activity, life or your body is made for a normal life.
Mhm.
Your body is not made to lift couches or pianos. Okay? Think about it. If our body was made, if it was an advantage to lift pianos, life would evolve us in a way that we are optimized for lifting pianos.
Mhm.
What is what has life made us for? If you think about that, then you know what activities, like many of those
Walking.
activities, walking,
Picking things up, I think, when you pick
hunter and gatherer.
Sleeping.
yeah, sleeping, eating.
No, but what if I would tell you that a mouse is faster than an Olympic runner? A mouse, think about it for a second. Not even your house cat. Everybody knows the cat beats you at reflexes, at the speed, at jumping. You don't even have to go there. A regular, your cat, your dog is faster than the Olympic runner, the best human who has been running. A mouse is better than us.
Not my dog, but
Yeah, not your
animal
dog. Your dog is a what's his name again? My
Truffle.
truffle. It's your dog is a snack. But but there is something that we human are really best at that no animal can compete with us.
Brain.
What is that? Brain is
Walking.
certainly walking.
Walking.
Yeah, pound for pound, we joules for joules, calories for calories, we can move more efficient than any other animal in the whole planet. We use even our walking. It uses the energy of we are just jumping from when we walk, not running. We are not good at running. That is why I tell my daughter, just moderate it. Okay? Marathon is maybe marathon walking, but marathon running is not as healthy as people think it is. Because people who do that, their joint is just
It's hard on your
destroyed.
joints.
It's very now. If you have to do that, use the best running shoes that you can use. We are talking about the science of exercise.
And working on your form, having your hands open instead of closed.
There are lots of science in that to reduce the peak pressure. That's what it is. When you run on a hard surface, for a millisecond, the pressure goes like 500 pounds for a millisecond, but still those peak pressure, you have to distribute it over the time. Again, physics, right? Pressure, force over time, then you have less peak pressure. So best running shoes that you can have. Walking or running on a grass or sand is harder, but better than running on a hard surface.
What about I don't know if you've heard of this, but there's these shoes, they're called like they're basically shoeless shoes, so they don't have a lot of support in them. That way you grip the ground when you're walking.
It's not about, I do believe it's not about gripping ground. It's about giving you a feeling. I mean, your body has sensors telling you what is right, what is not right. And we get rid of all that sensory with a thick sole that literally remove all our sensory. Now, you know, some people have foot fetish, right? You guys know that? Do you know why the foot fetish even exists? Because there are lots of sensors in your feet. That is, now there are two places you have a lots of sensors in your hand, in your lips, and in your feet. So, and that is something nature wants you to use about your balance, your walking. If your feet are tired, if your feet are hurting because you have walking a lot, that means your body is telling you is enough for today.
Chill out, yeah.
And you know, and then what we do, we take the sensory away so we can do more. And then our feet maybe doesn't hurt, but the rest of our body has been overstressed already. So walking, not running. And we were talking about the running. So running, if you have to do that, softer, best running shoes that you can have, softer surface. Running on a treadmill is better than running on asphalt because again, peak pressure. Okay.
And working on your form, making sure you're not putting too much strain. If you're leaning forward, you're putting more strain on your knees.
And as
things like that.
yeah, there's some techniques that you can reduce the peak pressure, and it's actually better. The best runner, they use the energy of the last step for the next step rather than somebody like me. You're going to use the entire energy of the last step to destroy my knees and my ankle. Okay, so technique is important, but it's not, running is not the best for us. Walking, our body is made for walking. We are more efficient than any other animal in human history for walking. As a matter of fact, there is a hunting technique that still in Africa is used. They walk, exhaust their prey. Like there's a gazelle.
Follow the prey.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
What have you heard about that? Tell me.
Just a bunch of people like setting up perimeters and just walk.
Not even perimeter. They just, no, not even perimeter, like a gazelle or a zebra. You go to zebra, what does zebra do? Run away. You walk to zebra, zebra runs away again. You walk, you do it until whole day until zebra lay down and die of the heat exhaustion. Whereas for you, not a problem at all.
Yeah.
You're just walking. And that is still practice. So our body is absolutely is a walking miracle. Okay, we can, and even better, that's why we are bipedal. We are standing up, we can look forward, we can see things, and we can outwalk. That is why we are in the entire planet, right? Is there, there's no place on the planet human don't exist because we can walk, we can get there. Other animal, it's a big deal for them. Have you seen a chimp or a monkey or a gorilla? Have you seen them walking? It just look awkward,
Yeah.
for you,
Yeah,
doesn't
so
it?
monkey
It's
walking.
knuckle. There's the method they call knuckle walking. They have to support that. They don't have to. They can walk, but the hip is tilted too much, and you see that when they are walking, they are not able to, as a human, like they have done this, and I think we did it before in one of our physical therapy session here, that they put sensors on a human and they let the human walk. Those sensors, the center of gravity barely moves. You put it on a a chimp or on a gorilla, the center of gravity goes up and down. It is like going stairs up and down, the stairs up and down. Whereas for us, it's like rolling a ball. Okay, so and that is so. Talking about if we understand now that walking is such a natural thing for us, hunting and gathering, bending, lifting, and so on,
Bending and lifting in a specific way.
in a specific way, and so on. If we know all of that is now, imagine now, then let's go to the 1980s, those music things that you have a music and you do most of the time they weren't even too super fast. They were just in a casual way, moving forward and backward to the side, and then they're just turning and so and that sort of practical tell you what your body, how you put your body to the best use for muscle use. Now, talking about the core body muscle, okay? Now, I'm not talking necessarily about abs. Again, let's understand that when I talk about that, I'm talking about the muscle you don't see, you never see, okay? Now, can you describe some of your exercises in yoga class? Like,
Yeah, well, we actually have a main exercise that we do in every class where you, if everyone knows like a plank position, where you're on your hands are like this.
you're on the ground,
Yeah, you're on the ground with your toes on the ground and your hands on the ground.
okay?
And then you have to hold your body up straight. You can't let your chest go down, and you can't arch like
Do you
that.
have to, okay, you have to arch like it,
You don't arch.
you
be
straight?
Yeah, you be straight like a plank, and then you lower down with your elbows pointing backwards, not outside,
Yeah.
until you're hovering. So then that's called a low plank. And then from that low plank,
That's the name, plank, for
Yeah.
straight.
like a straight. So
Yeah.
you're low like this, and then you lift up, and now your body's like this. So your feet are still down, and your arms are pushing you up.
So you're bending forward.
Yeah, you're like
Mhm.
this.
Yep, yep.
And then
And that's very interesting because as you can expect, those lots of 100 muscle in the spine that we talked
that's what I was
about.
thinking about. And
Yeah.
then from this, then while you're up like this, you flip your toes over, and then you go into upward dog. So then you put your butt in the air and you twist your arms so
Yeah.
this part is shining forwards.
Can you imagine for lots of manly men, that
I
is
can
very
imagine-
feminine, that's a
I-
very feminine
I can
exercise?
imagine
And why
there's-
they are
there's some
avoiding
more
it?
No, the men in my class really like.
No,
really-
those are men that they like, otherwise
Yeah.
they wouldn't be there. But you go with that to a gym, I think most of men would think that's just made for women.
But it does work out a lot of.
It
I
does.
think the muscles that you're referring to.
Yes, it
your
does,
Your
it
core
does.
muscles.
It does. So it's good thing to be a little feminine in the gym.
Yeah, and if any men are watching and they want to work out and do yoga, be comfortable to do yoga, especially like yoga studios these days. They're so open and they love to have men there.
Yeah, and if you want to, get connected to lots of women, 3 men for 20 women, so that's a good ratio.
Well, the men in my studio actually come with their wives.
Oh, okay, well.
So that means even more free women, I guess. Yeah.
So,
the movements you just described, I sometimes use it for relaxation.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really, those are really standard movements. It's called
I
vinyasa.
think they're like stretching.
Yeah,
What's
it's
the difference
stretching.
between that and stretching?
well, stretching, depending on what are you stretching, that is the stretching of the paraspinal muscle, but it's more than just stretching of the muscle. I think the plank, those muscles have to work hard because straight is not the natural status of our spine. Your muscle have to work to keep your spine straight.
And then you use your body weight too.
Yeah.
And you hold it for like 1 minute. in
So
each pose.
imagine if this is the head and this is your feet, it is easy for you to do this because like this, your body is an arch, like an arch, all the energy get transferred directly. Your muscles don't have to work hard, but to make it straight, that's why most of the bridges are made like an arch, because then the energy naturally transferred to both ends. Whereas building it straight, that energy has to be absorbed by muscle here, by the paraspinal muscle. So very smart exercise.
Yeah, you're supposed to pull your belly button
Yeah.
into your spine when you do it.
Well, then the last part of the sport or exercises is trying to coordinate all of this together. That is where the Olympic gymnast and so on come in, and that is actually for a long time I didn't understand why driving a race car would be even considered sport. Okay, it's a sport for the car, not for the person. Okay, most of the thing he was pushing down.
That's how I felt about horseback riding until I went horseback riding.
It's about, it's about having muscles, but as well the stamina and the coordination to coordinate your energy, your muscle, your posture, your breathing, and so on together. It is a stressful thing to be in that situation. You're driving like 300 kilometers an hour or 160 miles an hour, and every little motion will have severe consequences. How to coordinate that? Your body is in a true fight status, and that is what that makes the like a driving a sport car or the race car sport. Okay, and if you measure those hormones that makes like they have probably 3 times more stress level hormone and other hormones that is in a situation, fight and flight situation, than somebody who just goes to gym or does any other sport. Okay. Now, having said all of that, obviously exercise is good. You should have a healthy level of exercise. But Amanda, you came out with something that you called it
Life gym.
Life gym. Explain that, because I think the future, see, there are billions of dollars in the gym industry and so on and so forth. But explain the concept of the life gym.
Life gym is kind of just finding gym or exercise in your daily life. So dancing with your friends, dancing is a really good exercise. When I go to the club,
Not the way I dance.
when you're dancing, you're still exercising, even if your feet are on the ground the whole time. But life gym is just finding ways to work out, like gardening. You can, instead of using your wheelbarrow, carry everything yourself. That's part of life gym. Or instead of using grocery bags, carrying your stuff yourself, stuff like that. Life gym is just finding ways to use your body.
What about something easier? You pay a gym membership, and then you pay somebody $1,000 a year or more to come and mow your lawn. Mow your damn lawn.
Or
Okay.
bike to the gym and skip the cardio part.
Yes, bike to the gym and so on. Like now, I guess in Minnesota, I understand if you don't want to bike on the ice and snow and 20-degree below, but generally,
But then
life
shovel your driveway.
shovel your driveway. Shovel, I mean,
Shovel
with
your neighbor.
moderation.
You can even shovel your neighbor's driveway too. Mine.
and your neighbor might bring you some gift for
Yeah,
that
or
and so
having a
on.
dog like Lily. If I don't walk my dog twice a day, I have so much pressure on myself.
And that is another concept that you cannot emphasize. We have clear data. Dog owners live longer, have better life, are healthier.
Mhm.
Guess what? They walk their dog twice a day, or at least once a day.
In parts of Europe, isn't it like against the law to not walk your dog 3 times a day?
Well, it's cruel for the dog
It
to
is.
just be confined, except for Truffle. Truffle can walk around. She's so little.
Yeah,
If she walks around the house, it's
She's
enough
tired.
walking.
But I got a small dog.
Yeah, that's enough. But this is as well a fact that like talking about the life gym,
Mhm.
the concept that you should actually trademark it before somebody else does. Now it's open out there.
Public.
Go trademark it. Now life gym, meaning that do things in life that your body's supposed to do.
Mhm.
Now, just seriously, what is our body is not supposed to do? We talked about running. We are so bad at it.
We're not supposed to be sedentary.
You're not supposed to be sedentary. It makes sense. If you were sedentary, you would starve and die. I mean, it is just the extent of it, You have to go out, you have to find food, you have to walk a lot, you have to gather and so on.
But I think part of life gym is enjoying it, like not forcing yourself to exercise. It's enjoying exercising. Like
make exercise part of your daily life.
Yeah, exactly. Like in the summer, I actually look so forward to being outside and doing my gardening. And it is a lot of work and you get sweaty, but it's
Mhm.
super fun.
And it can be different for anybody. It can be different. Like I like, doing carpentry. My life gym would be like, going to my shop and doing lots of different activity. And it is an all natural, I'm going from place to place, lots of walking. I'm lifting up one thing, I bring it to other place, lots of lifting. And then as well, I think the two concept of the life gym is number one, involving in your daily activity, and number two, making enjoyable part of your life rather than, oh, damn, I have to go to gym again.
Hmm.
And so that's a very good concept.
Well, before we close off, what do you think is worse? You mentioned that late weightlifting, body training like that is pretty bad for you and running. What do you think is worse?
Weightlifting or running, I think they are tied depending on how extreme you do one or another.
And what do you think is the best?
The best,
Like swimming. Swimming is really good. Aqua Zumba, when you like dance in the water.
yeah. Well, any kind of, obviously, our body is not made for swimming as well. Going back to the nature, okay? And but I think by considering how we live now, certain things, if you eliminate your weight, so the other muscle can work. Like we do so-called pool therapy.
Hmm.
We send the patient to physical therapy, but their muscle is so degenerated that they cannot do anything except if you put them in water and then the weight is eliminated, then they can activate muscle and then we progress more and more. Obviously, swimming is a good sport because it is one of the things is that in most of the sports that we do, there is a reason our legs are bigger than our arms, right? What is the reason? You walk more. Your body is a walking machine. You remember, you need your arm to balance that and as well pick up things. Okay. Most of the time you don't. Most of the time you don't. So, but in if upper extremity meaning your hands and breathing and so on is important to you, swimming is very good. It over proportionally you're using the upper extremity and the arm and hand and shoulders than the legs. It is good, it's not bad, but nothing beats the general just walking.
Walking.
Okay.
I believe that when I was taking an exercise class in school, I learned that walking is healthier for you than running.
It's a trend that people like to walk 10,000 walks a day.
Mhm.
True.
Is the walking hunting a thing in America?
Walking hunting,
Yeah.
no, the hunting is a big deal, especially in Minnesota and most of the United States. And the most of the hunting is actually, it requires, in average, they walk like 15 miles. They walk a lot when they do hunting.
But they're still hunting with guns.
No, I mean like not hunt with guns, but like walk your
No,
animal to
nobody
the-
does that here anymore.
Why not?
Because we don't have the stamina. Most of us are,
United
most of
States.
our are, that office workers. We are not, that requires literally walk like 30, 40, 50 miles to exhaust the animal on heat exertion. And by the way, when you do that, the animal meat is not the best. It's stress. It's full of steroids and so on. So it's not that. But at the time, when survival is the most important thing, the taste was the second thing. So, and a little bit is cruel too.
I was thinking that's the part I don't like.
Have you seen a cat playing with a mouse? They don't even kill it right away. They just exhaust the mouse, and the mouse falls down dead. Have you seen that?
Videos of
Yeah, yeah, you can actually see that, and it's cruel. The cat is just sitting there, and it's bigger. It's much faster reflexes. When the mouse starts running, just jumps in front of the mouse, and if the mouse doesn't turn around, just give a small little slap, just very gentle touch, and then the mouse runs the other way, and they do it back and forth. until the so it's not even specific to human. So Chili, your cat is a
I know,
killer.
I was thinking I think I've seen her doing that before.
Have you guys seen it on your cats?
My cat is
He's a big boy.
No,
Is-
you think so. All cats are killers. Even the
Mm.
gentlest cat, they may not see you may not put them in a situation that they have the opportunity to do that.
Maybe if there's a super fat mouse, he'll be able to
No,
kill it.
No,
They-
you'll get scared.
No, it doesn't.
Whine about the cat.
Hey, see, you have that cat for few years. Evolution had that cat for millions of years. So I'm happy to bet everything you want that your cat, when in the right situation, is a total killer. But talking about that, no, we don't do that in the United States because neither human can do that, nor I would say it's fair
We
to
don't
the
have that much
animal.
open land anyway.
Yeah,
Or is it hot that like then
True.
what's that?
Nor is that hot like in there.
Yeah. Well, that's all these are factors there that plays a role there.
And I mean, this is off topic, but the US does kind of have strict hunting rules now. Like you can't hunt with arrows, I think. You have
You
to.
can't.
No, I don't think you can
There,
hunt.
there is a arrow season. There's a bow and arrow season.
Well, it's like a season. Like our rules are strict because
Yes,
arrows
yeah.
are less humane than shooting.
And then yes, because the energy have less energy and so on. But no, actually, there is at least in Minnesota, there is a bow and arrow season that start actually before and is longer actually.
What is it?
And it is
Can you only hunt like certain animals? Because someone was telling me like you cannot hunt with arrows.
actually you can. That's a big deal, and especially in Minnesota. And I think if you have the right technique, they're not less human or less,
Humane.
than with a gun.
It
Obviously,
just takes more training.
you need to know what you're doing. You need to know where you're shooting, and you need to obviously be closer to the animal. And so there are some other rules there. And so I think we are done.
Thanks for watching. This was Essence of Science. We talked about the science of exercise. I'm Amanda Armagast.
Misha, Chippy.
And